Welcome to Wednesdays with Willa. I am your host, Willa White, and this is my weekly podcast show that airs on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium. It's an opportunity for me to have a spiritual conversation relating to topics on spiritualism, mediumship, healing, faith, family, and more. And this is year 9 of episodes of Wednesdays with Willa. You've got a treasure trove of past shows with wonderful guests. And I encourage you to look back at those. My YouTube channel is the best place to resource those because I've got all the past shows there. You can also find me on Facebook, Willow White Medium. And this also goes out wherever you listen to your audio podcasts. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into our show for today. I have as my special guest today Shannon Taggart. And for those of you who don't know who Shannon is, she is a spirit photographer of Spiritualism and also the author of the book Seance. Over the past few decades, Shannon has immersed herself in spiritualism and has documented with her camera many incredible spiritual experiences here in Lilydale and around the world. She is the program coordinator of the Summer Symposium in Lilydale, which is a series of very unique lectures by renowned scholars, authors, artists, and they explore the cultural history of spiritualism, the supernatural, and many more things. And she's here to talk about this summer, 2026 Summer Symposium, so that you can understand the lineup and all of the great presenters that will be here in Lilydale during that special programming. So please welcome back to the show, my friend Shannon Taggart.
Hi,
Thank
Willa.
you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Always love having you on the show. Before I forget, people should definitely look at the archive video of spirit photography when Shannon was on the show last October. And she's been on the show before to talk about different forms of spirit communication. And she's just an expert in a lot of those great details. But today we're going to talk about that summer symposium and how about you share with people what that summer symposium is about, why, how you developed that? Because this is year 12.
Yes, this is year 12 and it's taken many forms. It first launched in 2014 and it back then it was at Susan Barnes' Spirit Gallery when she had the Spirit Gallery, and it was kind of these weekly sessions. And then one year we did it in the library, and we were having speakers come and do talks about spiritualist history or the history of supernatural, or authors, artists, like you said, researchers. And what happened was is we ended up wanting to have everybody in town at the same time so that the speakers weren't just coming to Lilydale to do their presentation, but they were also like meeting each other and exchanging ideas. And the whole the driving force behind this symposium was that in my work, in my photography work, I started researching spiritualist history and the history of parapsychology and anthropology and the history of religion and all of those things. And I was going to conferences and I was meeting people who were reinvestigating spiritualism in the academic world, and they were doing this amazing work. And many of them had never been to Lilydale or had not met a spiritualist. And then at the same time, my friends in Lilydale, I was saying, oh, there's all this new scholarship going on, and they hadn't heard it because a lot of times it gets stuck in the academic channels. So the whole goal of this presentation is to bring people who are interested in the same thing but who come from different worlds, and so that to have all the speakers in town at the same time is really exciting, but it's also a lot of work. And
Oh
so
my, yes.
in 2017, it moved to a model where it would be a day-long program, and that was in Assembly Hall. And we did that for a few years, and then there was COVID, so we had a year where it was online. And then since 2023, it's been 2 days in the auditorium. And I realize how special it is to have a program be hosted in the auditorium, and I'm so grateful for that because it really is, it's wonderful to be there. And then that means we can as many people can come as they like. We're not in Assembly Hall. We were really limited with seating,
Yes, yes.
and so it's just been, it's kind of just gets bigger and bigger every year since
It
2023,
does. It does.
and
It's been fun to
so
watch it grow and to watch you bring in different folks. As I said before, unique lectures.
yeah, yeah, it really spans the gamut. There's something for everyone, and I try to, I've had people say to me, yeah, I wasn't really that much interested in this topic, but then I went to the lecture and it really was interesting. So I try to always book people who are good presenters and they have solid material and they really know their material. And I usually choose one of my criteria. It's usually people talking about their life's work. So
Mhm.
how could you, if you spent your life working on something, how could you not be a good, how could you not bring knowledge to others with it? So that's, um, and I've been really lucky to have many, many, many wonderful speakers.
Yes, and they have PowerPoint presentations that are part of that usually. So there are photos that are being shared, and I've really enjoyed attending. My favorite lectures I usually invite onto the show later after
Good,
that.
good.
And just for example, the Spirit Rooms of Jonathan Coons. I was so delighted to host Sharon Hatfield on the show because she really brought so much beautiful history of spiritualism and that understanding of old time mediumship. And
Yes, yes.
yeah, I was delighted that she was
To-
willing to share on my show about it too.
Totally unique scholarship. No one's ever done a book on that topic. It was really,
Yes.
really great to have Sharon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I kudos and praise to you for knowing how to network with these people and actually doing it and bringing them together in one place. It was very, very special.
Yeah, and and we've also expanded with bringing some artists every year so they can share their
Mhm.
artwork, and that has been the huge contribution from Sacred Grounds,
Mhm.
who have really partnered and supported everything I've done, and they've helped me expand, and I am so grateful to them. And also, everybody who comes to the program loves Sacred Grounds and loves going there and eating there, buying treats and hanging out there, and so um, yeah, I'm really grateful for that. They've helped me a lot with expand the artistic elements.
Yeah, it's been great to have them both be a cohesive part of the Dale and help in that matter. And I would just tell people that Shannon definitely has a lot of different interests. And one of our past shows was on Hilma af Klint, who turns out is probably the mother of modern art.
Well, one of,
Yeah,
yeah,
one of the
yeah,
mothers, and that she had ties with spiritualism in a very direct way. So art and spiritualism have had these lines of intersection before, and I think it's great that Lily Dale is able to promote that as well.
yes, yes, for sure. And then we also have the precipitated art in
Mhm.
Lilydale, and
Yes.
the museum has folders that also contain spirit photography, which is my area of research and expertise. And so, and actually that's where I first learned about spirit photography, was in Lilydale. It was not in at school, or it wasn't through my photo history books. It was from Lilydale, and especially the Schatzels. Do you remember the
Yes, I
Schatzels?
sure
They,
do. Yeah.
yeah, they
Rose.
yeah,
Yeah.
Rose, and I forget her husband's name, but he was really into spirit photography too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's great that we've been
Bob
able
Schatzel, I
to
think.
Bob, yes, and it's been great that that's been supported and kept in Lilydale as well. People can enjoy some of the spirit precipitated paintings in the Maplewood Hotel, which is in the center of Lilydale, and also at the museum. So those would if people visit, if when you visit, those are the main locations to enjoy those particular kinds of paintings.
Yes.
And I've done a show about that with our historian Ron Nagy as well. So if
Mhm.
people are wanting to, you can't make it to Lilydale, but you'd still like to see and learn more about that, look at the archive videos of the show for that. So, shall we focus on this year's symposium and the array of folks that you have coming to
Okay.
share their insights, their lectures here? And
Yes.
let people know the dates too.
Okay. So my symposium is it starts with an opening event on Thursday, July 23rd,
Mhm.
um, which is a magic show with the magician Zabrecki, who is coming from the Magic Castle in Los Angeles. And I should say, before I get started on the symposium, we also added extra events that begin on Monday, July 20th, which includes a class with Willa.
On that
So,
Tuesday, the 21st.
yeah, so I don't know, do you want to talk about the symposium first and then the early events, or
It's up to you if it's easier sequence wise to start from the beginning of the week and move them forward, or
okay.
however you want to do that. Because
Okay,
I know
so
you,
yeah, we'll
yeah.
start with Monday, the 20th. So um, one of our honored guests this year will be Paul Gaunt, who
Hmm.
is he's a historian at the Arthur Findlay College in
Yes.
England, and he also edits the Spiritualist National Union publication, The Pioneer,
Hmm.
which is goes delves deeply into spiritualist history. And he is coming and literally giving every talk in his repertoire. So he's doing these double feature sessions starting on Monday the 20th, and that is detailed on my website. But he's going to go into the details of the Fox sisters story, things that predate spiritualism, predate the Fox um,
Sisters. Hmm.
sisters, uh, materialization, the medium Helen Duncan, spirit art, spirit photography, the manifestation of wax molds and seances. He's actually going to do a live demonstration. And so that's Monday, the Tuesday, and the Wednesday of the week. So the 20th,
Hmm.
21st, 22nd. And then Willa has a class on Tuesday, the 21st. And this was inspired by people who came last year and said, we wish you had more workshops or hands on things that we could take. And I knew many people were interested in mediumship, but had never taken a course. So Willa is going to do a beginner's course on Tuesday, the 21st in the morning.
Hmm.
And
It's
so,
very beginner friendly and it's
yeah,
a mediumship 101. So not to be scared, but I do put you through your paces because you're there to get into the water and
yeah. So
try it on.
I think it's a really great thing to offer, because another thing that my program seeks is to bring people who maybe had never come to Lilydale, or they have an interest in the topic but maybe would not have come otherwise. So, and then on the Thursday, Zabrecki, the magician who's going to perform Thursday night, is going to do a talk about Houdini and the spiritualists and the spirits, and this kind of overlap between professional magicians investigating spiritualist mediums.
Hmm.
And this is a very complicated history, and it's caused a lot of scandal, and it's
Sure.
very he said, she said. And so he's going to go into that story and then also do a magic performance, which is kind of inspired. It's inspired by the idea of spiritualism, but it uses the tricks of magic. And so it'll be very entertaining. It'll be a good opening, I think, for
So
the
full disclosure, it's not real. It's slight, but hey,
yes, yeah,
it works.
he's a performing magician. But in the history, a lot of magicians, especially, well, you have the Davenports, of
Davenport
course,
Brothers, yes.
who performed as magicians but were also mediums. I mean, so there's so much overlap in this history, and it's a very complicated topic. So rather than shy away from it, I'm going to try to discuss it this year, right?
All right.
Yes. And so then the program kicks off on the Friday, the 24th, with two talks that directly get at these angles. One is about the paranormal and fiction, and kind of when things are written in books and they play into real life or vice versa.
Hmm.
This kind of blurring of fiction and reality that is often cited with the paranormal. And it's an author, his name is Joshua Cutchin, author, who has this book, Fourth Wall Phantoms, which I think is a really interesting book. But
Mm.
he's written books on Bigfoot and aliens and the history of the spirit world, and he's a really great author and a great speaker. And I think he's going to propose some very compelling, interesting, slightly controversial ideas, but also pointing out, that there is this, art imitating life and life imitating art kind of thing that does happen that is often unexplainable, or
Mm.
doesn't make
Mhm.
sense. And then the second one is about performance and fraud. And I put a picture of the Davenport brothers there. Like I said,
Right.
they're the ones who so clearly overlap for that. But not also too, like when mediums are doing public demonstrations, it's also you are presenting there is a public speaking like aspect to it. I'm not sure how, and also there's terms like mixed mediumship and mediumship, especially in physical mediumship. And I think Jack, he was here last year, he did the presentation, The Paranormal Object. And he's a PhD in anthropology, and he is also, I think he did his PhD on physical mediumship, but I believe he's a spiritualist. I'm not sure if I'll have to ask him exactly
Yeah.
what
Ask him. That'll be
but
fun.
he's we'll have to pin him down and see what he says. But he's kind of just going to talk about all of that history, the overlap between magic tricks and mediumship. And then the third one is Paul Gaunt, again, where he's going to talk about Phronik Kluski. We often hear about the physical mediums who are women, but he was a male physical medium who had these very famous, intense manifestations, including live animals. And he created these wax molds of his hands that have never been explained. And I actually don't know much about Kluski. I know just a bit, but Paul has done a deep dive into all the primary sources on Kluski, and so he's going to give us the details of that case. And I'm very excited for that. There is nobody else I would want to hear that talk
Yeah.
from.
We're so blessed that he's coming this summer.
Yeah. So then that afternoon, then we're going to do a talk with Maria Mangini, who it's going to be about psychedelics and psychic faculties, and how kind of unpacking that relationship, which I don't know anything about. And she's coming all the way from California to do this talk. I'm very excited about that. And then we have the stone tape theory after that, which I think plays into this idea. It connects to the idea of the Akashic record,
Hmm.
but also um, uh, sound in the paranormal. And, it is interesting because, like, as with the Fox sisters, in many famous cases, the mediumship happens acoustically first
Hmm. Hmm.
before the information, comes in with and that is a scholar named Layla Taylor, who has written about sound in paranormal and paranormal experience. And she's going to explain the stone tape theory to us, which I think is that events can be recorded on. It's this idea or theory that history gets recorded on stone or the walls of a building, or kind of history reverberates into the material
Well, it's along
that
the lines of
surrounds it.
psychometry then,
Yes,
that leaves
yes,
the energy residue of that location. I think Jack talked a little bit about that last
yeah,
symposium as well.
yeah,
Yeah, so this will be more into that understanding.
yes. And I also uh, not I also want to mention Charles and Penelope Emmons. They've helped support Jack coming again, so I'm very grateful
Wonderful.
for that. Um, So 4 o'clock is a place known only to the spirits, a Fortean history of Pennsylvania, and that means a weird history of Pennsylvania. And I had heard this speaker, Timothy Greaves Carlson, on a podcast where he was talking about how there's all this strange history in Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania was considered this place for people who are really into far out ideas. And I never knew this about Pennsylvania. And it's so close to Lilydale. I thought that's such an appropriate talk.
Yes, yes.
And I selfishly want to hear this talk. That's usually how I program. These are all things that I really want to hear and learn and know about.
And
And
then we
then
get the benefit of it.
And
Thanks.
then at the end of the day, my friend Jack Wagner is coming from California. He has a very popular podcast called Otherworld. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I really love it. It's basically just people telling their paranormal stories. And one thing about that, and so I'm going to be in conversation with Jack. We're going to kind of talk about his podcast and then hopefully interview a few people and let them share their personal stories. But I think it's good to bring him to Lilydale and for him to have that experience, because a lot of the um, experiences that are talked about on the show are kind of, some of them are kind of frightening or scary, or they just happen out of nowhere. I mean, I'm sure as a medium, Willa, you must encounter people who have some kind of experience and they don't know what to do with it. It doesn't fit in a
Right.
box that
Hmm.
they've fit in.
All the
So
time, all the
yeah,
time. And what usually ends up saying, I usually end up having to say to them is, yep, that's normal. And then I help them understand the frame they really should be looking at this in.
yeah. So his just, I love his what he does with the podcast, because he really lets the human story be the human story. He's not trying to edit it or make it spookier or stranger than it is. He just lets it be what the person had in their own words,
Hmm.
which I think is really important, because there's not that much of that in the world. You always see the sensationalized version, or the version that's been edited to for a narrative idea about the show. His is just
Yeah, to
really,
sell tickets, to sell fear, as it were.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So his
I'm glad
is,
he's not pursuing that. Hmm.
yeah, it's a really great show. And so then the first talk on the Saturday, we'll have Pam Grossman, who was one of the first speakers at the Lilydale program. She talked about art. And here she's going to talk about magic and artists and creativity. And I used Hilma af Klint as her photo,
Good.
because she's talking about how art and magic and spirituality, like it all connects. And I do think this is important, because nowadays in art school, the spiritual quest has kind of been cleansed out of
Mm.
art teaching. It's not, you're taught you're the human genius, and this is, you are the creator, and you're using your mind, where many artists have found inspiration from the spirit world and other
Absolutely. The
sources. And
sacred is the best way of the inspiration.
so she's kind of restoring some of this history that's been lost.
Beautiful.
And so she just wrote a book on it, Magic Maker, and she will be here talking. And then we have Bibliophantoms with Asti Hustvedt, who's spoken many times. And it's kind of the idea of a book being like mediumship, where you're having mind to mind contact with somebody who, if it's a dead author, that person is dead, but yet somehow you're in your minds are exchanging. And
Mm.
how you have to bring a text kind of to life. There's a type of mediumship with reading and with writing.
Yes.
And I think that this is a really fascinating
Hmm.
idea. And kind of getting lost in a book and altered states of consciousness that come with the book. And so then at the end of the morning, we have a curator named Andrew Lambert, who's going to screen some clips from the filmmaker George Kuchar. He was an experimental filmmaker. He's now deceased, but he was active in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And he made films about some of the most famous figures in paranormal pop culture, such as John Keel, uh, Jacques Vallée, who's known as the UFO researcher, Whitley Strieber, who's famous for his book Communion. And so George Kachar knew these people in real life and made films about them. And so Andrew's going to show, and George Kachar also had his own paranormal experiences. So Andrew's going to talk about that and screen some of these films, and they're extremely rare. He got permission from the estate to do this, and you can't really see them anywhere else. I've never seen them. I'm so excited to see clips of this.
So they're having their premiere
Yes, yes.
here in Lilydale.
And
Wonderful.
so then, in the afternoon on Saturday, the July 25th, then we have a talk about Andrew Jackson Davis, finally, which I've never
Yes.
hosted before, with my friend Matt Marble, who he has this super interesting project called the American Museum of Parasite. Oh, I have to look exactly. Sorry, I'm stumbling on it. American Museum of Paramusicology, where part of what he does is save spiritualist songbooks, and that's one of his biggest. And he's been trying to reinterpret and re-record this music. He's also an artist in residence, and I did not mention, he'll be hosting a panel on Thursday afternoon talking about music and healing. And he's going to be interviewing some musicians who had Tim Kerr and Guy Blakesley, who are also artists in residence. They've had personal experiences. They're professional musicians who have had personal healing experiences with music. They're going to talk about their techniques and how it's healed them in their lives. And also we're going to talk about spiritualism's relationship to healing and music. And I've never done a talk like this. And Matt, his level of scholarship on this topic is really humbling. He's done a deep dive into this history that's kind of lost. He actually saves a lot of it. He has a huge collection. So he's
And I'll just say, Andrew Jackson Davis is considered the John the Baptist of spiritualism. And he was also known as the Poughkeepsie Seer. He wrote many books. And one of his guides was Emanuel Swedenborg, who is a significant mystic of the 1700s, who was an amazing Swedish genius too, who in his day job, he was quite the intelligent person, and he would also then have spiritual experiences. So there's a lot of background and history with Andrew Jackson Davis. I've done a couple shows on him with Tom Kratzley, so look back at the archive videos if you want to know more about Andrew Jackson Davis and his harmonialist philosophy and his understanding of the spirit world and what he was able to bring to us. In fact, he's so important to Lilydale. One of our buildings is the Andrew Jackson Davis Lyceum. So just to underline the importance of him, and I'm really excited to see what Matt will bring to that discussion that day.
Yes. And so then after that, we have a talk by an architectural historian named Daniel Paul, who's going to talk about the Integratron, which is a famous building in California that was built by a man named George von Tassel, who said he got the idea and the plans from aliens. And so this structure, he built it in California, and Daniel helped save it, as he helped write the laws and so that it would be declared historic building, and so that it's saved for posterity because it's such a unique piece of architecture. I do have an interest in spirit architecture, which is like buildings that were made through plans in spiritualism. There are several examples. This is not a spiritualist example, but it is an example of visionary architecture.
And I know last year you had someone else come in for architecture. Yes.
Yes. Yes, Amy Sloniker talked about Crotona, and Daniel Paul was actually his architectural historian who helped save the esophageal
that one as
area
well
too. So it's just so exciting to get him to Lilydale, and he's really excited to be coming and let him see the town as a historical
Hmm.
architect. And then we will end with the past few years I've had the podcast Weird Studies do a live event as like the opening, and this
Hmm.
year they're going to do the closing. And so hopefully it'll be, reflecting on everything people have seen, topics that came up. Um, if the specific angle is to be determined, but it'll be a nice way to get everybody in conversation and thinking, and kind of sum up the event. And
Hmm.
then there will be an after party for ticketed guests, and that will be the end of that epic program.
Definitely epic. You have an amazing way of bringing all of these folks together, and they're all of the research that you have been able to gather over the years and network with other researchers is just amazing to me.
Thank
What
you.
a what a wealth of information you're able to bring together, that intersection of the paranormal investigation and art and cultural history, and I think there's something for everybody at this symposium, as there usually is. And it's what a great gathering of folks each
Thank,
year.
thank you. What talk are you most excited about?
Oh, that is tricky. I'm really excited about Paul Gaunt's every single one he's doing. I'm
Mm.
like, boop, sign me up kind of thing. I really like the idea of the Andrew Jackson Davis one. I like the Biblio Phantoms. Well, I don't know. We're gonna have to see uh, how it all comes about, but definitely those are some ones that kind of hit my fancy just based on what you said, and we'll see what the days of bring, but it'll be wonderful to see this all unfold.
Thank you. Yes, yes. So I'm very excited. Hopefully, we'll pull it all off yet again. It's a lot of coordinating, people coming in from all over. Last year, everybody told me they really loved the program and they plan to come back and maybe bring a friend. So I'm thinking we'll have a nice audience again, as we always do. I love the
Mhm.
audience. They're always so curious and willing to grapple. And I always too, I put a lot of variety on the program, and it's a long day because it's it's,
Yeah, long day. I always bring my seat cushion to,
yeah.
extra cushion padding there, so that I could be a bit more comfortable. But I always appreciate having a bit of a stretch break between the lectures, and you always make
Yeah.
sure there's a longer lunch so that it's people don't have to feel as rushed,
Yeah, it's a
especially
full
if
two
they're.
hours for lunch just to like
Mhm.
recharge your brain. And I always say too, if seven's too much, skip one.
Yeah.
It's like six is a lot. And people tell me, yeah, I wanted to skip one, but I couldn't because I secretly try to program it so it's so good you won't want to skip any of them. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, so it is a long day. It's a marathon,
It
and
is a marathon of workshops, and especially that it's basically a week because you're starting on Monday and rolling it all the way till Saturday. The actual symposium is Friday and Saturday, but
mhm.
you've added so many other pieces of programming that it's
I
amazing.
I know. So we'll see if this year this is trying it out. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens. Every year I try to make things new and offer something a little different and see what people like. And last year, many people said they wanted more interactive classes or like something a little extra. So, and just having Paul Gaunt come all the way
Huge.
from England is going to be really special. He's a really special guy, and he's really knowledgeable, and I'm just so excited he's coming. He was with us in 2019 also, but he only did, I think, one double feature talk. So here he's doing it all, and it's a must-see event.
Yes, it's a week not to be missed. Block your schedules and make plans to be here in Lilydale that week. It's going to be a very, very busy week. And, just for people who are not familiar with Lilydale Assembly, it is the world's largest center for the religion of spiritualism. Uh, from June 19th until August 30th this year, 2026, we have a summer season program of events, daily events of 2 to 3 message services a day that are well established, along with usually 1 or 2 healing services a day at our healing temple. And then we also have a lot of workshops that are happening throughout the day, along with an auditorium, lecture, and medium. So there are lots of opportunities for you to possibly receive a spirit message, a healing, or you can even schedule a private reading with a mediumship, with a medium who is registered. That means that they have been tested and approved by the Lilydale Assembly Board of Directors to do readings on the grounds of Lilydale. So I would refer you to the lilydaleassembly.org website so that you can get all of the information about the upcoming workshops, the daily events. There are gate passes involved for the day, 3 days, a week, a whole season, all of that. And there are restaurants on the grounds of Lilydale. There are guest houses. Some of them have kitchen privileges or even, the idea of here's a microwave opportunity for you. But then Lilydale has its own hotels. So yes, go to lilydaleassembly.org for all of those kinds of reservations and for the full listing of the Lilydale mediums that you could book an appointment with. Definitely book now because those things are filling up fast. The guest houses and the mediums and everything, if you have ones that you're drawn to connect with in particular.
Mhm.
So just my little spiel, because I know if people are coming for the symposium, they're going to want to make sure that they've got everything else arranged as well. Lilydale, for those of you who don't know the location of it, is about an hour south of Buffalo, New York. So it's about an hour, I'm going to just say north-ish of Erie, Pennsylvania, and it kind of meets in the middle. But it's in New York State on the western side of New York State. So we're not anywhere close to New York City. In case anybody's wondering, how close are you to New York City? Nope, not at all. Other side of New York State. So, any things that you would like to add, Shannon, to help people understand about the symposium or Lilydale?
Just that uh, the symposium is such a long day on both days, and Lilydale also has, the healing service. They also have the free message services once you've assigned the gate, like
Hmm.
several times a day, sometimes at the stump, sometimes at Forest Temple. If it's
Hmm.
raining, it'll be in Assembly Hall because we'll be in the auditorium. But
Yeah,
I
the
just want to
auditorium is going
say,
to be totally in the hands of Shannon and her presenters
yeah, just,
for Friday, Saturday.
yeah. And so I just wanted to say that if it's your first time, you might want to spend a little extra time. I know it's hard to get away, but you might want to get in early Thursday morning and do some of that stuff before
Hmm.
the evening thing. I also wanted to mention that Tim Kerr and Guy Blakesley, who are artists in residence, who are part of the panel of music and healing, they're going to do at some point performances. And
Mm,
Guy's is a sound bath healing,
nice.
but an electric sound bath, so with the guitar, I think. And then Tim Kerr and his band Up Around the Sun, they'll play. They'll probably be part of the Magicians event that opens on Thursday as well. So there'll be live music too this year, which is,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, even more. Even more. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger, Shannon. Definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I hope by next year I have more ideas because this really goes all over the place with ideas of different ways to think about things. So
Yeah,
I'll
and
get
and some
some.
of the things that Shannon has hosted before, she's hosted things about SORAT, which was, that was a fascinating topic that you
Oh,
did
yeah.
last year. You've had things on theurgy, people being struck by lightning, spontaneous combustion. I mean, you've had the whole gamut of things of interesting and odd.
Yes, yes. Because I love that history too. I love the history of the paranormal in general, as well as the deep dive into historical spiritualism
Mhm.
and how it connects to art and creativity, for sure, is one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, it's definitely a passion for Shannon. And Shannon and I have had the pleasure of knowing each other for probably about almost 30 years now at this
I
point,
know
is what I
it's
was trying to remember.
we're
How long has it
yeah,
been?
at least
And
25. Yeah.
yeah, and so it's just amazing that things have come to this kind of beautiful pinnacle and what you've been able to accomplish. And I know you're traveling to other locations and doing research, but also making those other very important connections. So I know you'll
Yeah.
be bringing more of those connections to Lilydale in the future. That'll be great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's surprising to me because I started out just as a photographer, but I became a researcher because spiritualism is such a rich, interesting topic,
True.
and so many people don't know about it because it's been written out of so many different histories. And so I just, I had to start writing and researching and thinking about it as well, in addition to doing my photographs.
Hmm.
And so it's been really transformative.
Yes.
I
It has been. We're so grateful for you doing that. And for those of you who are interested in how to get tickets to Shannon's symposium and the other things with Paul Gaunt, my class, all of that, I'll have that in the show notes for you so you can have the direct ticket link to go to those so that you can get registered and reserve your spot now.
Yeah, and I should mention too, Lilydale has all of the titles of the lectures for the ticket page, but because I had so much text, I do my own webpage as well if you want to read the whole write up of every text. And so there, it complements the Lilydale ticket pages, which list the facts of the event,
Yes,
the
the basic facts.
yeah.
So if you want the more unabridged version,
Yes, the unabridged version is on my website.
go to shannontaggart.com so that you can read in greater detail
Yes.
about these presenters and a synopsis of their lecture. And I think it's great that you've been able to uh, host this, but also accumulate this and put it in a format that people can understand and enjoy. And so, yes, referring to shannontaggart.com for the unabridged version, referring to lilydaleassembly.org website for actual purchase of the tickets to these events.
Yes. Yes. So
Beautiful.
hope to see you this year. I mean, um, get your rooms as soon as you can. I would suggest that.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Things book in very, very quickly. I know, in terms of that week, I'm really booked up, and a lot of
mhm.
other dates are already fully booked in terms of me for clients. So just to kind of give you guys a heads up, you need to go ahead and make some plans to come and get those in order so that you can really enjoy your time here in Lilydale. There are lots of other programs throughout the summer season here at Lilydale, but this is such a unique and special one that we wanted to make sure we highlighted it and featured on the show today so that you'd have a good basis of this. Anything else you'd like to add before we close out the show for today?
no, just that I'm always happy to take questions about the program, and people do email me. I know it can be confusing when people are saying, "Well, where's the closest airport?" or how do exactly do I get there? So you can email me, which is on my website. It's just my name, Shannon at shannontaggart.com. I do try to connect people with ride shares if you need a ride from Buffalo. I try to help coordinate that where I can,
Mhm.
so that we have, people helping each other out because not everybody needs to rent a car, or you could all, or you could share an Uber together, things like that.
Right, right. Because it is some distance from the nearest airport, for example, would be
Hmm.
uh, Buffalo Airport, and it's about an hour
Yeah.
from Buffalo to Lilydale, just to give you an understanding. You're not going to be here lickety split.
Yes.
But that is so
Sure.
generous of you, Shannon, to help people connect in those ways as well.
Oh,
Very,
thank you.
very
Yeah,
lovely.
I try to make it as fun for everybody as we can.
Absolutely. Beautiful. I just have a quick mention I need to make. I do have a wonderful class coming up this particular Saturday, the 4 stages of spiritual progression. It's an online Zoom class. It's live. If you can't attend live, I will be doing a video of the class that you'll have viewing access to later. So anyone who's interested in that, please go to my website, willawhite.com, so you can buy your ticket for that. Also, I do have a mediumship development circle, and the next round of that circle will start on April 6th. That registration is open for the spring Monday Night Circle series. So please join us if you're interested in learning more about mediumship, but also having opportunities to practice with partners based on the lessons that I teach every week. There's a different lesson, something to learn every week. And then we actually get in the water. You get to try it on for size. And it's a very wonderful group. It is open to all levels, whether you are a beginner, intermediate, or advanced. So I like to have them all in one room schoolhouse because then I don't have two beginners looking at each other going, oh, no. So I usually pair you up with someone who's been there before and has a better understanding of some of the things that we're working with. So just know that it's a beautiful, welcoming group, and we'd love to have you join us for the Spring Circle series. All right. So without further ado, we'll close out our show for today. Thank you so much for being here today, Shannon. We really
Thank you.
appreciate you and all the work it takes to get this amazing summer symposium week together. And we'll look forward to seeing you this summer. All right,
Thank you.
everyone. Thanks for being here. Tune in
Bye.
next week for another great show. Bye bye. Wherever you get your online podcasts.